While I still play League of Legends to this day, I don't find it fun anymore. I usually play the game whenever I want to listen to a podcast and do some mindless activity in the background. For those of you that came to this video to flame me and write off my opinion, let me give you some ammo for it with a full disclosure. I have been playing this game since the end of Season 1, early Season 2. My rank peaked at Season 3 when I got to Plat Division, and since then I have been consistently gold whenever I came back to the game and played it for a month each year. So I'm not what the kids would call a pro player. And to top it off, I have been already banned twice for talking shit in this game, losing access to a really old account with a ton of skins, champions and playtime. So I'm definitely salty, but that's for a whole other video. I finally successfully pinpointed why this game is not a fun experience anymore. There's two large reasons that I'm going to go over in this video, starting with the first one. The ranked mode is what I enjoyed the most playing League of Legends because you could go in, try hard, and slowly climb the ladder, which I found very rewarding. Ranked, however, can get tedious at times when you're on a losing streak or just bored from playing the most meta champs in the most meta way. Whenever that happened, you could switch it up, go in all random, all mid with your buddies in a custom game, and play around with a different champ on a map that is not Summoner's Rift. If you couldn't get a custom game going, you could just jump to a normal game and maybe build your champ a different way and play on a certain unnoticed aspect of that champ. Take for example Miss Fortune, which is mostly known as an AD carry, but if you take a look at her skills, she scales with AP as well. Old school players would know that her old E would scale really well with AP, and you could actually use her off meta in mid lane if you wanted to switch it up, or in the off chance you get her in ARA. It was really fun to see people react to that unknown aspect in her game when you slap them with that E and cause a ton of damage while slowing them down. Sadly, you can't do that anymore in League of Legends. The Actman has described this really well in his video on League of Legends, where he commented on how the game is now more streamlined, and he is right. Don't get me wrong, the reworks for a lot of the champions are a great way to keep the game fresh, the champions still in meta, while staying true to the core of the champion. Those champions reworks, however, made the game more boring and restrictive. Take a look at the old Shaco. An AD assassin that was created for early power jungling could be a fun burst AP champ based on his E and W. Karthus, a mid laner together with the former AD carries Graves and Twitch, could have been played in jungle due to certain aspects in their kits. The reworks and patches to those champions had streamlined them into being playable only on a single role. Graves and Twitch are no longer good picks for AD carry. They took their kits and made them fit strictly to a single role, which is weird since Riot always tried to change the meta and never commit to it. But now when you go into the game, your champions are sorted by the 5 meta roles in the game, and no single champion, as far as I can recall, appears in more than one category. I really miss having the ability to play and abuse one unknown aspect of a champion. Or the fact that a single champion could play several roles like Nidalee, who could go support, AP carry, off-tank AD, and even jungle. But now they nerfed her Q so much to the point where she is not fun to play at all. And before you jump at my throat saying it was OP, I would argue that it was only one aspect of the champion, and that if you build her that way, you gave up on a lot of other skills in her kit that scaled well with attack damage. This point gets stronger when you notice the fact that they took her Q and built a more powerful AP based champ around it, named Zoe. She now has a full AP kit that doesn't solely rely on that aspect of Nidalee that was previously deemed OP. What about the former mid lane champs like Morgana that were creatively used as support due to the early power she possessed and her spell shield? But now she is strictly relegated to being support like Vel'Koz, Brand and Lux, which are AP champs that didn't see their kit reworked at all. They simply can't face any of the other mid lane matchups, or they have way better alternatives in mid to do their jobs. And that's because Riot keeps pumping out champions. There's no longer creativity in playing this game, and you can only go the meta way or the highway. You would think that it would not be this awful because of the variety of playstyle that can still be accessed if you use different champions in this game. But then you run into the second issue that I have with this game, and it's the monetization, which is very similar to the Fortnite Battle Pass. I know League of Legends is a free-to-play game, and because of that they can get away with microtransactions more easily. I also know that you don't get any gameplay advantages for having more rune pages, buying up skins and having more champions. The reason this battle pass works for Fortnite is because the only thing behind a paywall is the skins. It's never the comfort of the player, because in League we usually play more than 2 champions, but because we only have 2 rune pages, you have to constantly edit those pages when you move to a different role or when you play ARAM. Even when you had to buy runes in the past, you were usually good to go once you fill those 2 pages up. And if you had 5 pages, you cover the setup for most of the champions in the game, and you can comfortably play the game even with the wrong runes, because at the end of the day, they were supposed to enhance your champion. Today, however, they are more than enhancement, they are actually a part of the champion's kit, because let's face it, if you use anything other than Conqueror on champions like Mordekaiser, you're screwing yourself. So your comfort of just beginning a game without having to edit a rune page before every game is behind a paywall, or an endless grind. That endless grind wouldn't be so terrible if you didn't have to sacrifice the variety in the game to get that comfort. Because if you wanna play a champion in ranked, you gotta buy him. But you can't buy him if you want that rune page, because a rune page costs the same as the most expensive champions in the game. The Fortnite Battle Pass works even for the newest Call of Duty game, because all of the core weapons in the game are already available to you, and after a reasonable amount of play, you can acquire the ones from the Battle Pass as well. Most players on League have been playing the game for years, but still don't own all the champions in this game if they started playing it after the monetization change. In the past you would get around 100 influence points, which are the equivalent of blue essence, but today you only get those when you level up through a first win or from loot boxes, and it's just sad. That bottleneck on the game's currency is what prevents you from having that quality of life and variety. Before every ARAM, which was supposed to be a casual game mode, you need to change your rune pages because it's a different champ every time, making it a chore rather than a casual game mode. The game gets very boring real quick because that variety you had once in one champion is no longer there. Take Corki for example, which could have been played AP in mid or AD carry in bot. You now have barely 1 or 2 champions like that could play different roles in the game, and even if they do, you build them the same way. Maybe except for Israel, since he can go AP in mid and AD carry in bot, but other champions like Lucian, which can be played in mid, or Vayne, which can be played in top, are still built the same way you would if you would have played them in bot lane. If you want damage and kit variety, you need to buy different champions, which is a very hard thing to do unless you buy that stupid battle pass, or just skip it and buy champions with riot points, which is real money. You could argue that real money buys you less things in today's League of Legends, which is true. In the past you needed to buy runes, but they were very generic and would fit most champions anyway. The runes today are more comparable to the mastery system you have in previous season. Those masteries had no limitations on the page amounts. You got all the pages straight away without needing to buy anything, but now they sell them to you in the form of runes. While you can only buy less with your real money in League of Legends than before, you also get less things for free than you did before, because those masteries pages were available to all accounts once they were unlocked, and you could create the maximum amount of those. That one champ that you bought could have been played several ways and fill different roles. Not in the optimal way, but it was viable. Now they divided the champ up and sell it to you 3 times. The game that has sworn to keep the meta fresh now sorts your champions by roles. The free-to-play casual part of the game is now a chore because every ARAM match is a race against the clock to create a rune page for that random champ that you got, and even if you by any chance get enough rune pages to not make that an issue, you probably don't have a lot of champions that you can play and have fun with, so you got comfort but not the variety, which gets boring really quick.